All right, we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Nerdthusiast Poker Podcast with your host and other hosts, Hoagie and Brian, not the man, Keen.
Host, co-host, host,
He
co-host.
gets here. He gets here.
I'm here. That's all that matters, right? Every month I feel like
You're running in,
I'm
dude,
like going in the seat. It's like, let's go.
just jumping and ready to rock and roll. Today, really excited to have on, first time on the show, we have Abby Merk in the house. What's up?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
I feel like your name is literally everywhere this past year. So I was like, we have to have her on. I mean, you're all over the place. Let's start off right from the get-go. GPI award, right?
Oh my gosh.
Let's talk
Yeah,
about
it
it.
was so cool. So basically I was nominated for two GPIs this year. I was nominated for the Rising Star Award, and then I also had like a hand in the best short one. The best short one, it was kind of the one I wanted to win a little bit less if I had to rank them, just because like the Rising Star one really felt like, to me, it embodied everything that I've been working like really hard for over the past year. So all of my hard work and all of my efforts in terms of everything that I've created was kind of embodied by that validation, I guess. Whereas the Rising Short, it's like, honestly, they could have picked any one of my shorts and I would have felt like the same about it. Like I feel like with shorts in particular, you have to have such a short-term mindset because you can't be so results oriented with like an outcome. It might flop, it might be your best performing short, but it's like at the end of the day, the thing that's more important to me is that I liked the short that I made rather than like what other people think about it. So I think the Rising Star one was the one that I was really, really excited to compete in. And then I ended up winning, which is obviously always super amazing and feeling. And I felt super grateful because I was up against some tough competition too. So yeah, it was a great time. Honestly, I had a fantastic time.
It's a great resume booster too, as well, right? So
Definitely, no doubt about that.
drop that right on the resume.
Yeah, it's funny you said, you care more about if you like your content versus what other people think.
For sure.
And that's kind of like where we kind of find our niche with our podcast is, we might not be the biggest names in poker. I mean, you probably never even heard of me, or maybe you've heard of Hoagie. But the point is like we're doing this because it's something that we enjoy doing.
Totally.
We're not looking to like make money off it. I mean, obviously that would be ideal down the road, but like
If it comes,
it's just something that we enjoy doing. And like,
Yeah.
that's how, like, I'm sure that's how you got into it. Like you weren't thinking like, I'm going to start doing all this, content, vlogs and things like that. And like, I'm going to be rich off of it, or I'm going to get awards in the poker community. You kind of were just like, this is something I want to do. This is something I enjoy, and I'm just going to do it and go for it.
No, yeah, exactly. I totally agree. I did know Hoagie from before. We've played like a bunch together at the Borgata actually, because I go out there for BetMGM a lot. And so we've played on a live stream together, I think. No, I know we played on a live stream together,
Yep.
but I think that was the first time we played together.
No, wait.
No?
So listen. First time we played, and you probably won't remember this because
Uh-oh.
I didn't realize who you were until years later. Was Barcelona.
Oh my God, what?
I met you randomly at Barcelona. We were both on like a 1-3 game in like 2021 maybe. I think you were there on like vacation and I was there on vacation, and we were the only English speaking people on the table. Do you remember that? It was
I
random.
don't remember that at all. That's hilarious. I can't believe that.
Do you
Oh my
remember being in
gosh.
Barcelona? Do you
Of
remember
course, yes, yes,
Okay.
for sure.
And
Yeah, oh my God, wait, I actually have pictures from that day too. I feel like I should go look back and see if I can see you,
it was
'cause
just a
that would be
random
hilarious.
I just remember because you were literally the only person who spoke English on the
Yeah.
table at that point. There was like a French guy and someone else, but
Yes,
so
oh
that
my
was our first.
God.
That was a random, just I'm like, okay, and then
Yeah,
I saw you pop up like a year or two later at the WSOP, and I was like, I
yeah.
played with that girl down in Barcelona like a year or two ago, and
That's
that's
so funny. I
random.
totally remember that French guy too because I actually had my first like moral, not my first, but like a moral dilemma that I remember because he didn't speak any English barely or any
Yes,
Spanish, and I don't speak any French, but I had like Google Translate up and he was about to fold the winner. And I felt as though this guy was at a serious, serious, serious disadvantage because this was like a language barrier thing. This was
yes.
not like a skill issue. Like he was all in pre-flop. Do you remember this?
I I
And
just
so
I just remember him being like having no clue. I just remember
yes,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And but it was because of the language barrier because people were, I think it was like a multi-way thing and he got confused literally. So I pulled out Google Translate and I Google translated like you won the hand in French and he goes, oh, and then like turns over his cards. But I was like, dude, like this, because also technically, you know what I mean? Like it could be argued. And like I'm happy with what I did just because I'm a believer in like fairness at the table. And like if people are not winning for that reason, like I don't think that's fair. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But a lot of people at the table could have argued, they didn't, but they could have argued that that's like, um, uh, how do you say this? It's like, it's not immoral, but it's like,
Yeah,
I
it could.
shouldn't have said anything because it's his
Yeah,
fault if he doesn't know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's happening at the Borgata. You're
Uh,
like, oh no, no, no,
they'll
absolutely not. You
yeah.
can't talk.
In New Jersey, they'll kill you for that. You'll get murdered for
literally.
that. You'll literally get killed.
I'll stab you in the parking garage.
Literally. I'm like, oh God, thank God I'm
I
staying on
I have
premises.
not been back to Barcelona, but I would love to go back because those cruise ships just dumping people off there and like coming
Yeah,
in the casino. It was just like you'll love it there, dude. If you ever
Oh, I'm
go,
sure.
it was just like
it's
dead money. It was absolutely great.
That's so
Yeah,
random.
definitely a gold mine for
yeah,
sure.
definitely. All right. So some of your recent content, and I got to throw this up because obviously, even though Brian's not, and I 50-50 depending on the week. Eagles, you went to the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh, yes. I went to the Super Bowl. Okay, so this was actually a crazy story. Basically, I also vlogged it, so you can see this on my channel too, but it was the most random shit I've ever like done in my entire life. Like I'm actually quite lucky that I have the job that I have and like that I do what I do because no one else could have like pulled this off in the turnaround time that we did. But basically, I had known Texas Mike for a long time. Like he's always been super 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 friendly to me. We've hung out a couple times in like group settings and like he's genuinely just like a gem. Super good guy, super kind heart. But we weren't like, I wouldn't say like we're on the level where we're hanging out like outside of like poker stops. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. He's a
and then
poker friend,
basically
poker nerd.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's from Chicago too, and I'm from Chicago. So
Oh,
he
okay.
was like, we had kind of talked about like getting a group together and like just hanging out, just, having like, some casual like drinks or whatever, like with the group. And it never ended up happening because I was always like traveling a bunch and he's super busy too. He's a total badass. So he texted me like one random day and he was like, hey, what are you doing like this weekend? And I was like, oh, like I'm at MGM National Harbor, like I'm playing this series, like gonna be super fun, like you should come, whatever. And he's like, no, you should come to the Super Bowl. And I was like, oh, I'm in.
What a
I was like,
flex.
say less. I'm like
Yeah,
at a
seriously.
1-3 table. I'm like, I'll be there. It's okay. But yeah, it was honestly like the funniest thing ever. So yeah, so I went with like him and his group of friends, and like genuinely, I'm so glad that I met them because they were like the best people. I like want to make plans with them in Chicago. Like it was not a one-time thing, you know what I mean? So it was the craziest experience ever. But go Eagles. Oh my gosh, you
Oh,
guys are
that's what I
gonna
was
be
gonna
proud of
ask.
me too.
I was gonna ask, are you now like go Eagles fan now or
I
what?
mean, it's really tough to be a Bears fan, you know what I mean, in this freaking
Yeah.
environment. Like Jesus Christ.
Like the top
But
10 fan bases to like
literally,
worst fan bases.
Yeah.
literally, it's actually painful too, because then like we saw one dude wearing like a Bears jersey, and he thought we were trolling him, and we were like, because we were like, oh, go Bears, and he's like, like whatever, and we're like, dude, no, we're like being serious. I don't know, it's just funny. But they also, I will say, y'all got really lucky because the Eagles, it was pretty much a home game, man. I'm telling you, there was no Chiefs fans there. I don't
Yeah,
know
I just
what
saw
was going
pictures.
on.
It looked like 80-90% Eagles fans, just like
Yeah.
sea of green.
Yeah, they had like us wear bracelets too. And like the bracelets were obviously for the halftime show, but when people would score, they'd like light them up and stuff. And genuinely, that was the only time that you'd see red was when the bracelet was lighting up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Oh
So
wow.
I don't know. It's crazy, to be honest.
that's wild.
Crazy.
All right, let's jump back. How did you get into poker? Like, what's the origin here?
Yeah, so basically when I was growing up, I was pretty diverse interest-wise. Like I was making a ton of, I think the correct term technically is like fine art, right? Like drawing, painting, like whatever. I was always like musical. I like played the piano, you know what I mean? Like I was super competitive. I played competitive sports my whole life, literally got recruited to play college soccer. Like I was, thinking about being a physics major for all of my life, but I also really enjoyed like writing. Like I was just like across the board, you know what I mean? And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I reached out to one of my mentors in Chicago, and I was just like, "Hey, what advice would you give me if you were my age and like this diverse and like you didn't know what to do?" Yes.
Gamble
Yeah.
everything.
Play poker.
Yes. Not joking. That's like literally how the conversation went, because she was like, "You should play poker." And I was like, "That's
That's
such a weird thing to say. Like, why would you say that?" But I think her intent was for me to like learn business skills that women weren't learning elsewhere. But my intent was obviously to be in the mix a little bit more.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I started learning like through that um how do you say this? Like through this person, and then the rest was history.
Okay. Now,
So,
okay.
so you said you played competitive sports. You were recruited. Did you go to college? Like, what's your story post high school? Like, what?
Yes. Yeah, I went to college. I was recruited at Bates College, which is in Maine. It's a D3 liberal arts school. So I was just playing there for a year, and then honestly, I really did not like the school personally. So I transferred to Wake Forest and was trying to like play there as well, and then ended up like literally instantly during tryouts tearing my ACL.
Oh,
Ah,
geez.
So yeah, short-lived dream on that one, but but an injury at that stage, like if you're not going to go pro, like maybe we hang it up, you know what I mean? Like I play club now, but it's like
yeah, yeah.
it's recreational. Like I'm not
You're not out there
super pressed
slide
anymore.
tackling and taking people out.
Well, well, once you got that dog in you, you always got that dog in you. I'm telling you. And you can quote that. Put that on a t-shirt. But
so,
yeah,
so then, did you finish school? Did you finish college?
I did. Yeah, I graduated with a degree in philosophy and math. So a little bit of dual major there from Wake Forest, though.
Okay.
Okay. And then, when did you make the decision to be like, "Hey, mom, hey, dad, I'm gonna,
I'm gonna gamble for life
yeah, I'm
here.
gonna play
Yeah,
poker. I'm gonna make content on, social media." And like, when,
yeah.
like, how did that conversation go? I'm always intrigued to know how you like break that news to your parents.
Yeah, it was actually kind of an interesting story because when I graduated college, I like did not intend to do this full time. Was I actually had a job lined up. I was literally, people think I'm like lying. This is so funny, guys. Like, I posted a video where I was like, I quit my six-figure job to play poker. And like, I'm not bluffing. You know what I mean? Like, I have no reason to lie about that. You can look at my LinkedIn. Like, you can literally see where I worked. If you actually wanted to like put the pieces together, like, you could do it. Right. But it's like true. Like, graduated college. I was an options trader at a trading firm in Chicago. I was making six figures, and like I was getting beat up on like every single day, and I just hated my life. Like it was so horrible. So I ended up quitting. And when I quit, the job market was literal like dog water. And so I was kind of like, oh man, like maybe, I was kind of like playing recreationally. And then I must have like, I can't even remember when I made the switch in my head from like, okay, I'm doing this to pass time because I've already applied to 12 jobs today. You know what I mean? To, okay, wait, I'm actually like making money doing this. But like, this was back in 2023, I want to say. And I played for 8 months and literally supported myself for like 8 months just playing poker. That's it. You know what I mean? And my bank account was not going down, contrary to popular belief. Um, but yeah, so then I did that for a while, and then it's like kind of funny, like the world, it works in such interesting ways. Like you just never know when something's gonna pop up. And like one of those companies that I had applied to back in like February, and it was now like November or something like that, DM'd me, and they were like, or called me or whatever it was, and they were like, "Can you start tomorrow?" And I was like, "Oh." And so I went back into the workforce, but like at that point, I was hooked, brother. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
the
real.
itch was too deep.
Literally, I was like, it's too late. So I wanted to keep
That first
poker in my
alarm clock
life.
goes off, and you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no.
Wait,
Yeah,
I gotta get
exactly.
dressed today.
Exactly. Literally. But, anyway, so I did that for like a month, and then I wanted to figure out a way to like keep poker in my life. So I started making content. And that was kind of how I was like scratching that itch without like literally being able to go to the casino almost at all, because the Chicago poker scene is really spread out. But I'll get to that if you actually are interested in that in a minute. But yeah, so then I just started making content, and like the rest was like kind of history. Like it just one opportunity led to another, and like I don't think my parents and I ever like had the talk, I guess, but like it's also because I've never been one to like play above my means ever. Like I have no shame. I do not stakes shame anybody, right? Like if you want to go play 50 cent dollar, like fair play, power to you. Like I'm not gonna sit here being like, oh, you don't play 5, 10. Like, I just
Yeah,
ew, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think as long as that's the case, you can make a lot of money, and that's yeah, as long as you're continuously doing what you love. And I think the way to continuously do what you love is to how do you say this? Is to not feel too stressed by it. Do you know what I mean? Like you have
Enjoy
to
it while doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think there's a strong correlation between players that are like ready to move up in stakes and how well they do versus shot taking and accidentally doing well and then trying to catapult that. Like I don't really believe in that. But
So cash games or tournaments? What do you prefer most?
bankroll prefers cash, heart prefers tournaments. I'll be
Yeah,
real.
right?
Oh my god, these freaking and oh my gosh, you guys will actually relate to this heavy. Why is the Borgata the hardest goddamn place on this earth for me to get a cash? Like I cannot do it. I am
It's
trying so hard. The people I meet, it's like some of the best people in the country. I have such a good time every time I go there. The structure is sick. All the tournaments are like well run. The prize pool, the guarantees, they're like hitting them, right? It's like it's amazing. I can't I literally I have not cashed a tournament
it's
yet.
It's
because
East Coast
East
poker.
Coast
It's
poker
East
is
Coast
a
poker.
different world, for sure. Like,
I'm
it's
shook.
funny. We've had a couple people on here, and they've literally said like they won't come up to the Northeast because they hate playing up here. They're so used to like soft games, like all around the country, and then they come here and like we're 3 betting, 4 betting, re-raising,
Yeah.
Yeah.
firing 7 bullets on you. You're like, what is happening?
I literally, I'm like, I'm looking around and I'm like, did that motherfucker just buy in for the eighth time? And it's like, he
Yes,
Yes.
literally did. Like,
Yeah.
and
it's
he'll
that
be
New
at
York
my table
money.
3 of the 8 bullets. I'm like, what the, you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
yeah, it's the New York money, man.
crazy.
It's just aggressive, just Wall Street money. Just wants to put that money out there and
Yeah,
fire away. It is a different realm to
for
play in.
sure.
Like we kind of grew up in it, so like we are used to it. So we're the opposite. Like when we go to Vegas or like out to the West, we're like, this is great out here. Like
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
three
This is
bet
the
and everyone
best. Yeah.
folds. Like what is happening here
Like we went to Austin earlier this year
to the
to
lodge?
the lodge,
Yeah.
and we only did a day trip, but we all walked out up, up not a considerable amount of money, but up some, and it was like
Yeah.
we all were just like, man, like we didn't even felt like we didn't even work for it. But
Yeah.
that's, I mean, every state, every
Right.
area is like a little bit different. But
For sure.
But yeah, Northeast
It's wild.
is a different wild. Yes, for sure, different wild
I've
animal.
changed my strategy too. Y'all have like got it on the head. Like people are just I think people genuinely just find hands that they're willing to go with and then they just go. And I feel like the response that I was taking was like I was being too patient. Like I was letting them like get away with some shit. You know what I mean? And now I'm like no, fuck you guys. I have aces. I call. Like, show me a better hand. Like, show me a better hand. And I'm saying aces on like 7, 8, 9, 10, like
yeah,
three
yeah.
hearts, right? I'm like, nah,
Yeah,
like
they're
top pair, like no problem. Like it's crazy. I'm telling you.
That's funny.
But
So jump back a little bit. So with the video editing, content creation, did you like you have a little? You said you had like some arts degree. Did you do any video editing in college? Like, how did you get into all that?
I did zero video editing in college and it shows. If you go back and look at my like first, I would say maybe 30 videos, like respectfully to myself, the idea was there, the execution was not.
Got
But honestly, it's one of those things that because I was starting from a place of passion, I think that that kind of shone through a little bit more than like the actual editing, right? Whereas now I pretty much could edit anything, I would say, like of any length. I understand sound design a lot better. I understand composition, like exposition, like all these different things that I did not understand before that lead to like making content better as a whole. Um, and I think my arts background, I didn't actually have an arts degree, but I did have an arts background. Like I think that helped me a lot when it came down to like my passion for making something is
yeah.
the same when I'm drawing as it is when I'm like making a short, for example, or like a vlog or whatever. So I think, and then also like being from an art background, it's very very, very easy for me, and I did not realize that this was, like, not a thing for other creators, but I think a lot of people that I'm friends with in, like, the poker content space, like, these top vloggers, right, the ones that are pulling, like, 250K, like, per video, they have a really hard time, or million whatever, like, higher, whatever, it depends
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
video, of course, but they have a really hard time with, like, the lack of perfection. I don't have that problem. Like, I am willing to just, like, throw shit out there, see what sticks, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
not every video is gonna be for everyone, on to the next, right? Like, I'm, like, so willing to fail, and I think it's because of my art background and just being willing to, like, try new styles, like, have people shit on your work, like,
Yep.
doing all this critique right in front of the classroom, like, I don't even know. I mean,
I definitely feel that because like some of like the videos and things I've done, same thing. I'll put all this work
yeah.
and time and effort into an idea and then it just flops. And then something
Mhm.
that we just do on the go and just something random, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, it blows
That's
up.
what. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what hits. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
like your egg video. I
what's that?
watched that. That was funny, the egg video.
Yeah, yeah. That was just a random thing. We were like, hey, let's bring eggs over here in our poker league night and just mess with it. And that went super
Yeah.
viral. So it's
Yeah.
like, like just dumb ideas sometimes just pay off. So,
Yeah, that one was funny. I actually thought that was clever.
well, we'll put up for a vote for video of the year for GPI
Yeah.
award.
Get y'all into GPIs next year, for real. Best
um,
short.
all right, we got some up. So okay, so you've been doing a lot of BetMGM tournaments and things like that the last year or so. What's coming up for you in the future for tournaments or plans? Like anything you can
Yeah.
kind of talk about?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm really, really, really excited about this actually because the BetMGM like obviously owns a lot of different casinos like across the country and like they have partnerships with like different poker rooms and things like that, which means that as a poker player, you have access to the East Coast players, the Vegas players, you have access to like, all these different groups of people, but you always have access to different tournaments, right? So, for example, what I mean by that is like when you go to the Borgata versus National Harbor, like maybe the tournaments like are relatively similar in terms of like buy-in, for example. But then you go to Vegas, like to like the Aria Summer Classic during the summertime, and like the buy-ins are totally different. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like they have the Poker Go tour, the Poker Go studio, which they host their events, and like their main event is like streamed, and like the actual glamour and like the prestige, I guess, of like running deep on the Poker Go stream in a
yeah.
BetMGM event is like second to none. You know what I mean? So I'm super, super excited. I'm actually coming to the Borgata next week. I'm leaving Saturday. I'm gonna go play like that deep stack tournament
Yeah.
series there. It's like a week long. So I'm excited about that. I always love the Borgata. Can't wait to be back at Noodles of the World. Had to plug that. Had
Yeah, they're
to.
so good.
So good.
Yes.
Um,
And they're
but
open
on
like all night too.
Yeah,
They're open till
seriously.
yes,
late.
You're there like 2 a.m. You're like, wait a
they
minute,
Yeah, let's
it's
know.
still
go.
open.
They know. They literally know me by name too. It's like so freaking embarrassing. They're like, "Oh, Abby, you're back. Like, how long are you here this time?" And I'm like, all right, pipe down, all right." But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. But the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is the Aria Summer Classic. I just think that it's like the epitome of poker is like during the summer, and their events are like second to none that they run. So I'm just really excited about that.
I will put a plug. I'm not paid to say this, but I love their satellite structures they do because
Yes.
I think it was 2 years ago. I won a satellite package in there, and they like hook it up. Like they
Yes.
they gave me a room in the Aria for the week. They gave me
Yeah.
like all the buy-ins. Like it was definitely, and I got in for $100. Like I won like
Yes.
$100 satellite into the 600, then won the 600 into the main pack. Like
Yeah.
definitely we're trying, like you got to play some of them this year when they come up. They should be coming up soon. I'm hoping in the
Yeah.
next month or two.
Yeah.
But they are definitely worth it because they hook it up with the Aria for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a VIP experience too. Cause like the satellites, first of all, are soft. I've played a couple of those when I'm out there, so it's like amazing from a poker standpoint. But then also, when you actually go, the Aria, the rooms are
Ah, legit.
gorgeous. Like
Yeah,
the view is insane. Like it's right on the strip. If you wanted to do literally anything else, like you don't even have to leave to get to Park MGM, to Vidara, like all these other casinos. You can walk across the street. You're at, Venetian, like
yeah.
Bellagio, like all these other MGM properties. You know what I mean? So it's like you really can't go wrong.
Have
Definitely worth
you
playing.
seen Aria
Once, yeah.
once? Yeah, that's
For when Corey got married.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's top notch.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
It's
Yep.
legit.
Yeah.
So
Um,
nice.
All right, I got a couple. Before we wrap up here, we have a couple Twitter questions we got to throw at you. We always
Oh,
kind of
fun.
put
Okay,
out
I'm
there.
ready.
Let's see what we got. At
I'm
least
scared, but I'm ready.
no, they're nothing crazy. All right, so what? Our buddy Pierre asks, what is something you continue to work on for tournaments?
Oh, that's a good question. Not sucking. Just kidding. No, I think recently I've kind of figured out like a pretty big leak in my game is that I'm not adjusting well enough for stack size pre-flop. I think post-flop a lot of my decisions are okay. I think pre-flop is where I need the most work right now. I'm not saying I'm a pro post, but I'm saying that like if I was going to pick the thing that I need to work on first, it's definitely that. I think that kind of I would say 15 to 25 big blind range is where I'm struggling the most. I
Okay.
thought you had a lot more calls than you actually do.
Mm,
And I think, as I've looked into that and I've kind of realized that I'm playing too wide and it's costing me money. And that's like what I'm currently working on the most. But then I'm also working on, it's kind of funny because like maybe you guys can relate to this as well, especially being like from the East Coast where you kind of like know people. Like you can sit down at the table and maybe know like one or two people at the table always, right?
yeah.
Like maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like everyone kind of knows each other out there. But anyway, my point is I want to continue to use that because I'm a very talkative player at the table. Love interacting with people, love fucking around with people. Like I think even the hand we played, I was like messing around with like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna go Euro mode, like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just like trolling, right? But then also like being comfortable enough with my math in terms of like um okay, like SPR is like a big thing that I'm working on recently too. Just like when I can stack off given
Mhm.
my SPR, I needed to be more comfortable with like losing in those situations, right?
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of the times I was relying too much on like this person is never bluffing and therefore I should not be doing this, and then I'm like wait, like I don't even have to be good that much in order to stack off here, like show me a better hand, right?
Yeah.
Like fair enough. And I think I was a little bit too timid in those spots. So I'm definitely just working on that, especially in the East Coast where people are going to be all in and you need to make them show you a better hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
So I'll rephrase a little bit because this is the way it doesn't sound right when it's worded. But I think what they meant to say is there any poker player that you enjoy working with and why? So I guess like any media stuff or like anything like that you enjoy like working with or
Poker
someone. If
player
he
or poker company?
poker player is what he said.
Oh,
So is there
okay.
yeah
Um,
any
I
shout outs
mean,
you want to give?
yeah, I mean, I think the two names that I enjoy collaborating with the most, you could probably guess if you've seen my channel. I love working with Corey. He's so funny. Like him and I have a great banter, and like he's just very spontaneous like me, which is kind of what I need for like my style of content is just to be like, "Hey, want to do this? Oh, you're in? Great." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
on to the next. And so like he's really fun to collab with for that reason. He's also free a lot, which is good. I think, when you talk about like some of these, and I don't even mean old like poker players, but like I'm 24. Like there is a difference between a 24-year-old and like a 32-year-old, right? 32-year-old has potentially maybe a family,
Yeah.
potentially maybe, right? Like
Completely different world.
completely different, right?
Yeah.
So, I kind of prefer, collaborating with people that are more free in that sense, right?
Yeah.
But the other person that I like collaborating with a lot is Alex, because she's just like she's such a radiant, like little ball of joy or whatever. She just kind of like runs around and like smiles and plays poker, and she's I don't know, like I like her
And who's Alex?
innocence. Alex Lovelace. She works for
Okay.
Poker Org. She's
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, she's just like fun, you know?
Gotcha. All right, we got a couple random fire questions out at you. You want to ask one of these, or we wrote a couple
I mean,
down?
I don't like any of those.
Well, your normal one, you can ask that one.
No, I mean, it seems like she's got a good head on her shoulders. She doesn't have any leaks. Okay, so most of the people we have come on, they're obviously degenerates at heart. So they have things that kind of impact their bankroll. So I tend to ask, like, what's one thing that you tend to indulge in? It doesn't necessarily have to be gambling, but what's something that you enjoy doing that
There's a leak
like
on your.
kind of hits at either your bankroll or like your wallet, your purse, whatever you want to call it. Like what's your guilty pleasure, I guess you could say.
Sports betting, parlays.
What? Wow, I would never have guessed.
You guys don't even understand. When I was at the Super Bowl, this was actually a funny story. You'll like this, but I was on I basically had I was on a sports betting podcast where I was, and keep in mind, my sports betting is recreational as shit. Like I know like the rules. So for example, anytime TDs or like, spreads or like money lines, like I know what they're actually like what I am betting on. However, there are certain sports that I am infinitely more comfortable betting than others.
Yeah.
Love hockey, don't know shit about football, right? Sorry, I just don't think it's interesting as much as the other, like, the other people that I'm betting against. But anyway, so basically I go on this podcast and they're like, oh, well, here's all these like picks that you could make for the Super Bowl. We hang up. I put $1,000 on the Super Bowl. Okay.
On the Eagles, I'm hoping.
Casual.
On the Eagles, I'm hoping, right?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
So I had the Eagles money line was my biggest bet that I had made, right? So, but then here's the funny part, right? I get to the Super Bowl and I am walking through the like TSA at the Super Bowl and I see green. I go, fluke. Like this is probably just like when the flights are coming in, they must be coming from the East Coast, like fluke, right? I get to the game, all right? Everyone and their mother's wearing green. Doubled my entire bet. Won it all. I was like, let's go. I had to. I was like, this is a home game. They're not losing this. Like,
That's
they're
awesome.
just not.
What so our brand is Nerdthusiast. We cover other things as well. We always ask this question. We have groups in the podcast that do video games. We have people that do movies. So the question is, what is your nerdy hobby? What's your thing that you can say is like nerdy about you that you do?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Or like,
I had a rocks and minerals collection growing up. My grandpa.
You got some amethyst on your
Oh
nightstand?
my God, I did. No, stop. I love my amethyst. No, my grandpa, who has since passed, he was like a geologist. And so he like wanted me to start this collection for myself. So we would like research all of the like rocks and minerals. And like I had these little note cards that I would keep with everything. And I had some pretty rare ones too. So maybe I can like sell those in the future, but not right now. But that's probably the nerdiest thing I would say.
cool,
I think that's up there. It's got to be, right? Like,
yeah. That's a first for the answers. We've got some like repeats, but that's definitely a first. We have not had a rock collection.
I mean,
okay.
I don't even know.
You could be like a fossil man and have rocks that you give away when people watch you. You could like hand them a rock.
Here's a geode.
Literally. I'm like, you guys want some quartz?
All right, so we'll ask one more. What's something in Vegas? Like, what's a bucket list item something you want to do in Vegas that you haven't done yet? Like a place or a show or something.
Ooh,
venue,
that's a
anything.
good question. I would love to go to the Grand Canyon. I know that's kind of like a bad answer, but it's really close to Vegas.
Mhm.
And my biggest problem is that I am 24 and I cannot rent a car. So I have not been able to go, and no one has gone that I'm friends with during my time like in Vegas in the past couple summers. So that's definitely a big one. But honestly, like my favorite, I'm kind of changing the question a little bit, but my favorite thing to do in Vegas, and God, I'm gonna give everyone the gold, but whatever, it'll help this place out, and I really like it. So, the best thing to do in Vegas is it's this Korean barbecue spot called Honey Pig. Okay, it's all you can eat for $24, I want to say. It is so goddamn good. I am looking forward to going there the most out of everything this summer. Like I have to go.
Where's that at?
It's okay. It's off of like the street. I can't even remember what the street is called. It's just past the Wynn. It's towards like the Strat, the road
Yep.
in between the Wynn and the Strat.
I know
And
what
then
you're
you turn, if you're facing the Strat, you turn left, and it's like down that road. I think it's Flamingo Drive or something like that.
I don't know. I know where
that runs on the back side.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
back. I know. I mean, I know the area. Okay.
Yes.
I've not been there. It might be a place we have to check out.
It's so good. It's definitely worth it. Bring a group. It's so much fun. So good.
So getting back to what you said about the Grand Canyon. So I was out there, might have been for your bachelor party.
Okay, guys. Okay.
The first
no,
bachelor.
I didn't want to put you on blast like that. His first bachelor party.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We've had multiple.
The second one was in Austin. Anyway,
long story.
But I kind of did a dually, and I took my wife now, but at the time we were dating, on a helicopter tour, landed in the Grand Canyon, had lunch. I'm telling you, like there's ways to see it that's much better than going and like driving there and seeing it like that. Like,
Oh
and
my God.
it was cheap. It was like, I mean, it was expensive at the time. It was like $700 for like a
Yeah.
helicopter down, but it was awesome. It was incredible.
So
That
you win a couple more
really
sports bets,
cool.
you're good to go.
Yeah. If you think about it, I've already paid for it with my Eagles bet.
That's girl math right there.
Girl math. That's all I gotta say.
All right, we're gonna wrap up there. Where can people follow you, check you out? Where can they check out YouTube, Instagram? Can throw out
Yeah. AbbyPoker, all platforms. Nice and simple.
That is easy. AbbyPoker. Yeah. Check her out, guys. She makes great content on YouTube. She's really funny. So make sure you guys follow, like, subscribe to her, and also our channel as well, Nerdthusiast. Abby, we want to thank you for coming on to our show today.
Thanks for having me, you guys. It was super fun.
All right. We'll see everyone on the next one. Peace.